before we dive into all the content of this week's show, we just want to give a big thanks to our sponsors for the show, the Bowls Academy. The Bowls Academy provide game-changing content to all levels of bowlers, helping them to take their game to the next level. Visit thebowlsacademy.com to find out more. Ladies and gentlemen, for the 29th time, DJ Dilworth here from the What a Load of Bowls podcast, courtesy of our partners, the Bowls Academy. Never fear, he's here, Simon Little. Simon, how are we going, mate?
I'm good, DJ. Excited this week. Back for another episode, DJ. What a Load of Bowls podcast. What else would we do, DJ?
Yeah, we just keep churning them out, and we finally made the big time. You've seen that screenshot this week. People listening, Franklin Fong has finally found us, mate. Does it get any better?
We've made it.
We're about to go cataclysmic now that Frankie has found me and you doing a podcast. He couldn't believe it's taken him this long, but he's pretty happy about it.
I believe he got in touch with you, DJ, yeah?
He did, mate. He got a message over Instagram. He's, how did I not know about this? But yeah, he's, mate, it's probably better to listen to than watching the Swans grand final over again. I know Frankie's a diehard Swan, so. Yeah, mate. Oh, tune in, Frankie. Share it around. Hopefully you enjoy it, mate. Mate, not much playing going on for us at the minute. You've been pretty busy with work, haven't you? Pretty flat out.
Been pretty busy, DJ. Yeah, but I believe you've been doing a bit of research on the Nationals, DJ. That's been happening.
I did, mate. As soon as you were busy, I thought I'd pick up the slack. And yeah, mate, the Nationals obviously kicked off last week.
Yeah.
We haven't done too many results recently, but this is the pretty big one in the calendar, so we thought we'll rattle through this pretty quickly. So, starting off with the champion of champions, in the men's, Jacob Nelson from Queensland, 6 wins from 6, takes out the gold medal. Looking at our New South Wales representative, Mason Lewis, he came in third in that one. Into the women's, a couple of big names in here, like we talked about a few weeks back, mate.
Mm-hmm.
And you were actually right this time with your prediction. Chloe Stewart went undefeated to take out the gold medal from Queensland, so it was a Queensland double.
Home advantage, DJ. Yep.
And Chloe took that gold medal over our own Dawn Heyman. Dawn's only loss in the whole event was against Chloe. Round 6, they faced off in a clash of the Titans. Both the girls were undefeated at the time, obviously, and 21-15, Chloe came out winner there. Moving on to the under-18s, I'm just going to look at the New South Wales representatives here that sort of got gold. Well done, Travis Moran. He's had a red-hot year in the under-18s, so he has. Runner-up at the Aussie Open, winner of the Junior Golden Nugget, and he adds the boys' nationals under-18 singles title to his resume as well. Then the girls' pairs was played about a similar time, and well done to Reese Finn Young and Jasmine Smith taking out the gold. Then in the girls' triples, we had an all New South Wales final, mate, with New South Wales facing off against New South Wales B. And it was Sophie Payne, Annabelle Teague, and Tarni Ingham. New South Wales B that got the win over New South Wales A.
Interesting.
Messages going off. Professional podcast, as we know. Yes, New South Wales A was Zoe Davis, Ella Cameron, and Channel Chakuch. And the B team got up 14-13 in that final, mate. A solitary shot.
Finish. Yeah.
So well done to them. And then the boys' triples as well took gold. Cooper Dart, Xander Weber, and Tim Thorning teamed up to beat the old enemy Queensland 18-11. And then the girls' fours, the girls that got runner-up there, Zoe, Ella, and Channel, they managed to team up with Reese, who won the pairs, and they won the girls' gold medal in the fours, 22-6 over a combined New South Wales and Queensland team. So well done to our juniors. All those results was good enough for them to take out the overall trophy as well.
Go with the Blues.
So moving on to the team events, and the senior side's kicked off there. It's been run and won. Well done, South Australia in the men. They managed to get 6 wins and a draw and a total of 19 points to beat New South Wales into second place by a solitary point. 6 wins and a loss there for New South Wales. In the women's, Victoria came out winners, 18 points. They had 6 wins and a loss. And Queensland and New South Wales both tied on 15 points, but on count back, it looks like Queensland got the silver medal out of that. It was a good enough result, though, for the seniors, like the under-18s, to take out the overall title. So a bit of pressure on the Opens that are coming up in the next couple of days. Para events are going on as well, mates. It's always good to see our para athletes competing at the highest level. So some of the best para athletes from around the country are battling out for their national titles. Just the one gold medal to write home about for New South Wales, and that was in the women's B5-6 category, with Carolyn Nelson taking singles gold, getting 3 wins out of 3 in that. So not bad, mate. That's all that's happened so far. It looks like they're going to have a bit of a rest day at the minute, and then we're into the big one, which is the the teams events of the Australian Sides Championships, as they call it, which is the Ali Shield for the men and the Marge Morris Trophy for the women. Righto. So, mate, big event, Ali Shield, Marge Morris, all right? I had a look at the stats, mate. So, the Ali Shield, 57 times it looks like it's been run.
Yeah.
New South Wales, 21 victories.
Okay.
Current defending champions.
Yep.
Queensland, 15 victories. Last one in 2022. Victoria, 10 victories. The last win came in 2018. South Australia have won it twice. Last one of those was in 2017, and before that was in 1988. And Western Australia have actually won it 9 times, but they haven't won it since 1999.
Wow. Since
it started out, mate. So it started out back in 1959. They ran it every 2 years up until 72, but it's been run every single year since 1974 by the looks of it, except the COVID-affected years, obviously.
Yep.
Moving on to the women's then, mate. The Marge Morris. Victoria, 5 times winners. Last time they won it was last year. They're the defending champions. New South Wales, 15 times they've won it. They won it 9 times in 10 years. So they did. Their last victory was in 2022. Queensland with the 10 victories. Last one in 2017. WA, 2 victories. One was in 2010. The last one. Northern Territory have got a victory in that one, mate, back in 1995.
Wow.
So the girls was a bit different. They started in 1979, and they went every 2 years up until 1999. And then they went every year after that. So they did. And there's also been the overall trophy, mate, since 2008. All right. So 10 wins for New South Wales, and they've won the last 5 in a row. Yeah. It's going to be 6. I'm calling it now.
I think it is, DJ. Yeah.
Western Australia's got that one back in 2010, and Queensland have had the 4 overalls, mate. So, yeah, I've had a quick look. In the men's, mate, New South Wales have 5 wins since 2010. Queensland also 5 wins, but in the men's, mate, it's hard to
go past that New South Wales side, mate, DJ. Like, it's
that
just
Aron
packed full of superstars.
That Aron Wilson rink is going 7 from 7 plus 250. Like, it is just an insane rink. Cody Packer, Corey Wedlock, Aaron Tees, Aron Wilson. That is, calling it now, 7 from 7, just that rink.
Yeah.
And plus 250. That's just, it's insane. And look, Queensland on their home greens, mate, no one's beating New South Wales in the men's.
Nah.
They're not beating it.
Even if it's up there at Tweed, DJ, like all those guys play up there all the time as well.
Tweed's in New South Wales too, don't forget. Well, that's another controversial one, isn't it?
Yeah. But all those guys play up there quite regularly, like on the circuit, DJ. So yeah, it's a home advantage. I don't think really boils down to it. I think when it gets to that level, all the guys play regularly up there. So yeah, I think that New South Wales side will definitely come home with the chocolates, DJ. It's going to be hard. And it'll be a good fight for any side that does knock them over, DJ. And they'd really have to have an off day, I think, for any of the sides to.
That's right. Yeah, like you said it right there. It's got to be nearly an off day for them. The other teams can play to their best, but it's got to be. New South Wales have got to slip up somewhere, and it's just quality throughout. I mean, it's just a scary look side. So it is.
We'll look upon that with some eager anticipation, DJ, and see how the results go.
Absolutely, we will. It was good last year. I think they only dropped the 1 rink last year and the whole thing over in WA, so it'll be interesting to see how it goes this time around. Like we said, Victoria got the win in the girls last year. New South Wales, Queensland, red hot.
Yeah.
Absolutely red hot. A little bit of a change in the guard in the New South Wales team, a few different skippers and stuff in there. Quality throughout, but man, I'm going to go Victoria to defend.
Ooh.
So I reckon Victoria will defend it.
Let's see. We'll watch those results, DJ, and see how you go with your prediction.
Queensland's going to be hard to beat on their home greens. Like Chloe Stewart, Lindsay Clark, and Kelsey Cottle are the 3 skips.
Yeah.
I'm actually starting to rethink this, but no, I've called it. I reckon Victoria go back to back. Just looking at that Victoria team. I don't know our girls beat them earlier in the year in New South Wales, but they've made a few changes there, and yeah, just something about the look of it. So it is. So I'm going to go Victoria in the women's, but they're not going to do enough to get the overall. The overall is going to go to New South Wales again. Just dominant, man. Like, the men aren't dropping a rank. It's just silly. I'll fire a few up, maybe if this comes out in time. But
maybe.
But yeah, man, it's just absolutely silly. So it is. But yeah, that's the summary of the Nationals, mate. So we'll report back next week how our predictions went, how the states went. And also after that, then we've got the actual national championship. So all the state winners will compete against each other.
Yep.
To crown our national champions. So we'll talk about that a bit more next week.
Righto, DJ. That's good. Good little summary of the Nationals that's happening up there. Plenty of bowls action happening at Tweed. And yeah, But I believe, DJ, this week, moving on, that you went down to the farm again this week.
Mm-hmm. We did. We got another player interview.
You got another goat from the farm. Sorry.
I've kept this one very close to my chest too, man. This is a good one.
Yeah.
So there's like if you could have picked way back at the start the one person to interview, mate.
When we first started,
we're talking about who would you have picked to be?
It's like a wish list, Santa's wish list for the podcast to get a guest on. Who would it be?
Yeah, it's not Cristiano Ronaldo. So it's not. It's not Kathy Freeman. It's the one and only Aron Sherriff.
Wow,
mate, he has been knocking on the door to get on this podcast.
Yeah,
honestly, it's been like stalkerish just to try. It's the other way around. No, I mean, obviously, recently retired. Yeah, he was very receptive to come and do this after the retirement announcement. Obviously, he spoke to you earlier in the season.
Mm-hmm. Yep,
at the Platinum Pennant. He sort of expressed a bit of keenness, and then I got in touch with him about a few different things. We hadn't heard back, and then just got this message out of the blue one day saying it's time. Then the retirement announcement came out, and me and Aaron sat down, had a bit of a chat about his career. I think you're going to like it. I'm not going to divulge too much at this stage, but I certainly enjoyed this one. I think Aaron did too. So, mate, go ahead and play it. Let's see what everyone thinks.
Let's roll, DJ. Let's hear your interview with the one and only Aron Sherriff.
Hello, folks, here with another player interview on What a Load of Bowls. Absolute bowling royalty, this one. Australia cap number 127. Played for Australia 429 times, 230 plus times for New South Wales, 40 times for Queensland. 3 golds, 3 silvers, and 2 bronze from the Worlds. A World Champion singles in 2010. World Indoor Bowl singles and mixed pairs gold medals in 2023. 2 silvers and a bronze from the Commonwealth Games. 20 plus Aussie titles. Only the second person to win every New South Wales title. 6 times BA International Bowler of the Year. 3 times BA Male Bowler of the Year. And the inaugural men's world number 1 from the World Bowl Series. Currently a greenkeeper at Broadbeach, we have Mr. Aron Sherriff. Aron, welcome.
Thanks, DJ. Quite an intro there, mate. Thanks for that.
Yeah, well, I think I left half of it out too, didn't I? Mate, recently retired. Obviously, we've been trying to get you on for a bit, mate. The time's right. You finally sat down with us. So how's the last couple of weeks been since that decision came out?
Probably a relief, to be honest. Yeah. I've had... I suppose I've been toying with the idea for quite some time, probably even back to World Championships, but I suppose probably got caught up in the emotion of the 2 World Championships and the way that the men's team performed there, and thought, maybe I can keep going on, but obviously my personal situation's changed with Zoe killing it at cricket, and obviously them two, and obviously Connor turning 10 and Zoe 14 this year, and I suppose that bowls has been my life for 25 years, so it's time to stop being selfish and start enjoying their life.
Yeah, good on you, mate. Right, we'll get into that in a bit more detail, but I'm going to take you back to the start. So, for those that don't know, mate, where did it all start from you? Back on the Central Coast? How did you get into the game?
Yeah, so it was at Halakalani Bowling Club on the Central Coast in Budgewoi. Pretty much played every sport I could possibly imagine to get out of school. I didn't mind school, but sort of grew out of love with that pretty quick once I got to high school. So I was playing cricket, soccer, all sorts of things. My old man was playing a bit of bowls on the weekends outside of work with his mates. So after either cricket or soccer, I'd go and sit down and watch him, or we'd go and pick him up after his day, bowls or whatever. And coach at the time, George Dawes, who is a legend in his own right, played over 150 games for both New South Wales and ACT, and he was the coach at Halakalani at the time. So come up, tapped me on the shoulder and said, "Young fella, would you like to have a game of bowls yourself? You seem to be sitting here quite a lot." And I thought, well, why not? Let's give it a crack. And that's sort of how it all kicked off. So 8 lessons later with George, and I was a bowler.
Yeah, nice. So what was that first sort of taste of success that you had, and you thought to yourself, I'm actually quite good at this. I might be able to make something of it.
Yeah, so I probably juggled bowls, cricket, and soccer until soccer sort of finished when I was about 12, I guess. And then cricket, I was fairly serious about that as well. Made a schoolboys New South Wales team, scored 100 on that series, and thought maybe there could be a future. I reckon potentially thinking back, if T20 was around back in those days, I might have actually chose cricket, but
Yeah,
it
right.
wasn't then. So yeah, I reckon I was about 15, and I got a call from Shane Garvey, a great friend of mine and a superstar as well, and he said there was a late pull out at the Port City singles. It was an invitation masters. I think this was like on the Thursday or Friday before it started, and I spoke to Dad and said, "Look, I've got a good opportunity here. What do you reckon?" He said, "Yep, we're taking the week off school. Let's do it." And
Nice.
yeah, so got through my section. Played against guys like Rob Perella, and I think Kelvin was there and guys like that, and it was just an amazing experience. And snuck through my section and played David Holt in the semi-final and got him, and then played Paul Cousins in the final and beat him. So won the Port City Master Singles against some pretty good opposition, blokes I probably looked up to or was admiring at the time. So yeah, kind of thought, maybe I'll go okay.
Here I'm okay with this. Yeah, right on. Mate. That's a pretty fair one to start off with. First representative selection then, mate. When did that come around and how'd you feel about that?
Yeah, so I guess that was probably juniors, obviously. I suppose when I was about 14, I kind of got promised that I'd be in the New South Wales team after the state junior championships, and that never came to fruition. But probably thinking back, it was probably the best thing that ever happened to me, because it probably fueled the fire a little bit. I was really disappointed in that. And, obviously Dad being a pretty hard ass, he sort of said, well, you got two choices, son. You either stick it up and show and you deserve to be there, or you can whinge about it and, float off into the wilderness. So, just sort of chose to use it as ammunition, and won 2 junior state titles the next year when I was 15, and forced them to pick me basically. So yeah, made my first New South Wales team. I think it was at the Australian Junior Championships at Mulama in, God knows when I was 15. So what was that, 2000?
Yeah, nice. Not a bad one, mate. Righto. So you're a Central Coast boy through and through. You still, you're on the Gold Coast now, but obviously your roots are definitely in the Central Coast. But sort of bounced between Halakalani and Ettalong while you were there. Mate, did any of the big powerhouse Sydney clubs come in for you when you were a junior? Like you see it nowadays. Anyone shows any sort of promise, there's big money thrown at you from the Sydney clubs to get down there. Did that ever happen to you? Or
Yeah, I probably, had a couple of opportunities, but as you said, I was just a coast boy, and, loved being on the coast. I spent as little time in the big smoke, Sydney, as I possibly could. But a lot of the contracts were based on incentive prize money or incentive money and that sort of stuff. And I suppose another lesson from being told by a selector that I was going to be in and then not get selected, I was never ever going to put my financial situation in selectors' hands. So when, those sorts of things came up and the money was reasonable and could have been fantastic, had I made New South Wales teams, Australian teams, all that sort of stuff, well, that would have been great. But yeah, I just sort of promised myself that I would never let my financial situation be dictated by other people. So, always sort of looked for something more secure, and that's probably why I stuck on the coast, working, getting a salary, so guaranteed finances, and then having the opportunity to go out and make some prize money and do that sort of stuff was more my choice rather than, chase the incentive cash.
Mad call, pretty big call. Okay, eventually then, mate, Helensville came calling. Now you're at Broadbeach, moved up to Queensland. So how did that come about? And then what was better about this one that made you go for that?
Yeah, it just totally come out of the blue. So obviously the BPL started to happen, and with being involved in the national team, I had forged a really good friendship with Mark Casey, Lurch, Nathan Rice, and Wizzer, Brett Wilkie, and we were at one of the BPLs in 2017, and Amanda had come up, my wife, she'd come up for that event as well, and we were just sitting around, the four of us with Amanda, and just mucking around, and the boys like, oh man, when are you going to get him up here, and blah 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 blah, and we're sort of all mucking around, and I looked at the man and I said, oh well, if the offer was right, we'd probably move, wouldn't we, bud? You know, that just sort of off the cuff, funny sort of banter. Well, anyway, the next day, Lurch is like, oh, spoke to Len, the manager, and yeah, he's pretty keen to have a chat at you. Do you mind if I give him your number? And I'm like, what? What are you talking about? And he, yeah, so got home Saturday from the BPL, got a phone call Sunday afternoon from Len. Again, it was sort of a little bit of a incentive-based sort of thing, and if we were going to move up, I wanted something a little bit more secure, so went back with him with a bit of a salary option, and yeah, that was he sort of said, yeah, no dramas whatsoever, and I said, give me a day or two just to talk to Amanda, and we stewed it over, and the kids were like still pretty young, I think maybe like 6 and 2, 7 and 3, 7 and 3, something like that. So it was a great opportunity to move up to the Gold Coast, and it was the year before the Commonwealth Games. So yeah, we just sort of jumped at it, and it's been a fantastic move.
Mate, it's great to hear you talk about that financial side of it too, like not just chasing the big dollars, you know, people wave it in front of you, this is what you could make. As you said, you leave that to selectors at the end of the day. If somebody doesn't like you, you don't get picked in a team, not on merit. So
Absolutely.
for you to actually...
I've said it too much.
Yeah, and for you then to actually go through that again when you were established, and to still say to them, look, I like the look of the incentives, but I need something that's more secure, and to actually knock that back, dear knows what you could have made with the incentive basis, with the career you've had. But mate, that's a real credit to you, and something that hopefully a lot of juniors that are out there listening to need to sort of pay attention to, mate, because there's not enough of that in the game, I think. So now all credit us. That's brilliant.
Cheers, man.
Right, we're going to move on to the rep stuff, mate, starting with state, moving on to Australian stuff. So I think I'm right in saying you and Brody Pitham came through at the same time. Very young whippersnappers when you first made that New South Wales team. Some of the youngest ever to debut, mate. When was that? How did it come about?
Yeah, so I think I was about 18 or something like that. I just turned 18. It was a series against Queensland. Yeah, I think I had the late, great Wayne Crane as the lead, myself at 2, and then it was Tommy Ellum and Troy Somerville. So not a bad rink to debut in.
Yeah, it's a fair start, isn't it?
Yeah, and it was probably, I guess, a good decision on the selectors' behalf, because obviously New South Wales juniors are always played at Warilla. So, and Dan Ellum and myself are best mates, and know Tommy extremely well, knew Craney pretty well, and obviously knew Troy really well too, having spent that time at Warilla. So it was a really comfortable debut for me, really. Result wasn't great. Yeah. we got beat up, but it was really cool, and happened to get my nickname Omar from that test series as well. So game 1, they've announced, called the cards, have gone Wayne Crane, Aron Sherriff, and obviously it's pronounced Sheriff, but Crawford Linton's jumped straight on that and yelled out Omar, and then obviously the actor Omar Sherriff, so that's where the nickname Omar comes from. So it was a fairly memorable debut.
Yeah, nice. So stalwart for many years in New South Wales before you moved up to Queensland there. Is there any rink or a team of 12 for you that you played in that really stands out for you as one of the best? Yeah,
well, I reckon involved in a team where I played third in, I can't go past, it was Brody Pitham lead, Kevin Walsh second, I played third, and Glass skipped it. And we had that for a fair while, and it was pretty successful. But the best rink I ever skipped for New South Wales was sort of come about in a funny way, because again, Shane Garvey, great friend of mine and always up for a sledge. He had these 3 boys and could not win a game with them. I had fear that maybe he might axe them, so I said, look, boys, I'm happy to take those 3 and see how we go. And because Garv had the nickname the Axe Man at the time, and I took over his rink of Matt Bouse, Terry Antrim, and Wayne Turley, and I think we played about 50 games together and might have had 1 loss and 1 draw and 48 wins or something. And it was probably the greatest rink I've ever been able to skip. So that was a bit of a funny sort of setup to start with, but we just gelled instantly. Another fun fact, I think all 4 of us are about 5 or 6 days apart for our birthdays, nice. Which are coming up soon at the end of the month. So we just had that bond and a connection, and we just got off to a house on fire straight away, and that was a great rink to be a part of.
Yeah, you and Boyce, you're still pretty close now too, aren't you?
Yeah, great friends. Yeah.
Yeah. Mate, what's your thoughts on the current New South Wales team, the crop there? Pretty fair talent, isn't
Yeah. Yeah, they've recruited well from other states, haven't
it? Yeah,
they?
no comment.
There's not many New South Welshmen in there anymore,
Oh,
unfortunately. But yeah, no, it's sort of the who's who of bowls at the moment. But fortunately, we've got a few boys in there that have still got blue blood. But yeah, no, I suppose it's the big clubs in Sydney throwing money at the interstaters, and they can't refuse, and I don't blame them. And now we've got the ultimate team in New South Wales, haven't we?
yeah, it's pretty fair, mate. It's one to look at anyway. Speaking of
Bloody
that,
oath.
so New South Wales Blues legend you are. Was that status nearly taken away when you moved to Queensland and pulled on the maroon, man? How was that first game in those colours and then the first time you faced New South Wales?
Well, it was that difficult that I actually made myself unavailable for the first New South Wales Queensland series at Raymond
Very
Terrace.
good.
Yeah, yeah. Put that down to just moving up there and preparing for the Commonwealth Games. So
Yeah.
that was a handy one. But yeah, look, still sits a little fun with me. I will say that. You know, waking up in the morning and putting maroon on instead of blue. I would say I still haven't really warmed to that too much, but it doesn't matter what colour or what uniform or what I've got on. Whatever team I'm a part of, I'll give them 100%, and the boys know that. I still refuse to yell a Queenslander chant when the boys do that in the huddle, so they're well aware of that. And I just said to them, look, if you think me yelling out Queensland is going to make me a better bowler, then I'll scream it, but it's not one word's ever made me a better bowler, so you ain't getting it.
Oh, mate, we've done another interview with a New South Wales legend that's moved up that way. It won't take you long to figure it out. He said something very similar, so he did.
Yeah.
So it's good to see you're still bleeding blue, mate. I mean, as a
100%.
born and bred New South Welshman myself, it's
Yeah,
great to see,
love
mate. All right, okay, mate. So we mentioned before you made the Blues at a very young age. All right, I suppose jumping back a little bit, I don't think I did ask you how did that call come about? Was that like back in the day? Then was it a phone call? Was it an email? Were you heads up? What way did you find out?
it was more just an email then. Obviously Facebook and all that stuff went around, so teams weren't announced there. But yeah, it was just an email or a press release or something like that. So yeah, obviously finding out was pretty awesome. But yeah, it was generally just through an email.
Were you expecting it so early, mate, or were you expecting it at that time, or was it a bit of a shock?
Oh, I'd played under 25s and I'd been on a state reserve tour previously, but the New South Wales side then was so great. I really had no intentions of being selected at that age. So, yeah, I suppose it came as a little bit of a shock. I knew I sort of had the runs on the board in the juniors, but being a good junior and being a good senior are they're miles apart, you know.
Yeah, there is.
So, yeah, I think probably for any junior that's coming through, just because you have a good junior career doesn't necessarily mean that you should just be guaranteed a senior state shirt. You know, you've got to put in the hard yards and get the senior results they're just as important, or more important really, for the future of your career rather than your junior results. So yeah, take advantage of the juniors, but yeah, you definitely have to let the selectors know that you're more than just a good junior, you're just a great player.
Man, that's great to hear. Again, something from like that of that level from you, because obviously there's so many success stories yourself and all that there have come through the juniors, but there's a lot of promising juniors have fallen by the wayside too for not having that mindset, isn't it? Not having the right guidance. So we'll get into that
Absolutely.
a bit later too, mate. But that's great to hear from you. It's a great lesson for a lot of people listening out as well. All right, mate. So after that New South Wales selection, it's Australian, right? So how soon after that original New South Wales pick were you picked for Australia? What event was it?
Yeah, again, so Australian under 25s, had a couple of series there. My first one was 2005 in Kingsbury in Victoria. It was freezing cold, pouring rain. It was horrendous. Greens run about 10 seconds. I thought we were in the UK, not in Australia, but that was sort of the debut there. I can't remember what happened in 2006, but in 2007, in late January, early February, had a Trans-Tasman series in New Zealand. Now I got picked for the singles and the pairs there, and I had a huge series. I think I won 21-3, 5 and 8, and won all three pairs games. We won the series comfortably. And then a couple of weeks after that, I got a phone call from Cameron Curtis out of the blue and just said that they wanted me to make my debut for Australia in the World Team Cup in May at Tweed Heads on the indoor. So, yeah, again, that was a complete and utter shock. It wasn't really on the radar whatsoever. I wasn't even in the Australian squad at that stage. So,
Yeah.
fortunately enough, I impressed in the under-25 series there in New Zealand enough that they thought that I deserved a crack. Get my debut at the World Team Cup.
Was that the debut of the Mohawk too, mate, or was that prior to the
It
selection?
was. No. I don't know. Actually, I know where that comes from. Amanda and I had we were sort of friendly at that stage. We weren't actually dating, and
Yeah.
we got tickets to the Pink concert, and I had a silly white blonde mohawk thing, the Kevin Peterson style, wild haircuts back in those days, and actually dyed it pink for the Pink concert.
Oh,
And
right.
then, yeah. So then that was about maybe 2 weeks before that Australian series. So like, I've got this. What do I do? Do I dye my hair back normal? What do I, and our uniform back then was like all full yellow with a little bit of green in it. So I was like, bugger it. Let's just go full yellow. So I got the yellow mohawk in, and yeah, still get asked by a few old girls at the at Tweed Heads Bowls Club that were there for the World Team Cup. Well, what colour? Oh, we were wondering what colour you'd have this time, and I'm like, nah. Married with 2 kids now. I've grown up.
Man, that's a big call, making your debut for Australia to go out there with that mohawk. That's massive. So
I was either going to make an impression or go out with a bang one night.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks for tuning in, folks. Really hope you're enjoying this week's episode of the podcast. If you are enjoying this Bulls-rich content we bring you, why not tell a few of your teammates or club members about the show and help us grow our community? Make sure to hit the follow button on Spotify or Apple so you don't miss an episode. So how was it, mate, stepping out there in the green and gold for the first time at that Team World Cup? Who was the rest of the team with you in that one?
That was with Turles and Lurch.
Turles and Lurch, yes.
So again, 2 great friends of mine, but it doesn't matter how prepared you think you are or how good you think you are or how mentally strong you are. Your first game for Australia is absolutely terrifying.
Yeah.
You don't want to let the country down. You don't want to let anyone down. So first game was a bit of a mess. Played Mark Walton from England. Sort of started to find my range towards the end of the game and sort of eased into it. But the first set was horrific, and second set was okay. We got beat straight sets, and fortunately the boys, they were pretty experienced at that stage and got me sort of through it. And then semi-final. They lost the pairs, and I played a big game in the singles to get us in to the triples decider, and we won that comfortably. And then we come up against the Irish boys in the final. So again, the boys played a brilliant pairs game, and I beat Marty McHugh, I think, in the singles, and we played a dead rubber triples to be that was the first world title, really. So yeah, it was pretty cool.
Nice. Okay, so that was your first taste of anything, mate. Obviously, then the pinnacle for that is Commonwealth Games and World Bowls. So the next year, 2008 World Championships, you get your big debut and you get the singles. And that was in Christchurch, wasn't it?
Yep.
Yeah, it was, mate. So how was that? Well, how did that call come about, and how was the feeling there?
Yeah, well, I guess just a flow on from that World Team Cup and everything. And then obviously having the results I did, because that Trans Tasman was at one of the venues that the World Champions would be at Papua Nui. So obviously having the great success there, then debut World Team Cup, it sort of just flowed on from there, and got the singles berth and led for Lurch in the pairs. So it was pretty awesome. Felt a lot more comfortable there, having got the event, one of the events out of the way, and I suppose we got a bronze in the pairs, getting beaten by Russell Meyer and Gary Lawson, the Kiwi team, in the semi-final, and then playing Ali Forsyth in the semi, another Kiwi. I think I was getting beaten about 14-7, 15-7, something like that. Struggling big time, and then someone yelled out in the crowd, who ate all the pies, or something like that. You did, Omar, you fat bastard, or something. They yelled out. Huge crowd. Those stands were packed, and I was like, holy shit, this is pretty full on, this stuff. And it was probably a bit of an icebreaker, and I just thought, look, I've got to get away from this rink, and I just sort of darted off, washed my face, may have given myself a few uppercuts and expletives, and it's like, come on, let's go. This is a great opportunity, and I think maybe 18-9 down, something silly like that, and Ali started sort of running for jacks and trying to sink the jack, and just sort of, I suppose that's his strength, but just a couple of near misses, and I was just hanging in there by the skin of my teeth, and ended up getting 21-19, I think it was, in the semi-final, and 21 years old, and in your first world singles final, played against Saf Saeed from Malaysia, and he was a pretty seasoned campaigner by that stage, and I was probably a little overawed, I guess. Just excited to be there, but probably didn't play my best game, and got beaten in that final. But it was a great learning curve, and I suppose looking back to play your first World Championships and get a silver and a bronze, and even now in retirement to know that I played 4 World Championships and won eight world medals, medaled in every event that I played at a World Championships is it's pretty cool.
That's awesome, mate. Awesome. Well, we're just going to get into that. So first event, 2 medals. Then you go and you take 12 months off. Was that to get you and Amanda to get married, was it? You took 12 months off before Delhi?
Yeah, it was. It was probably a bit of a convenience. I'd been at Ettalong for a little stage and been back to Halakalani and got the coordinator's job at Halakalani there, and then obviously Amanda and I were engaged. But the weirdest part about it was that we got 2 silver, a bronze, and the boys got beaten in an absolute bludger of a day against Fiji in a 3 bowls triples game. And then Billy Cornell's retired. Turles, Lurch, and Case were dropped from the national squad.
Yeah.
And I was the only person that was left from that 5-man team in the next 10-man squad. So it was kind of a weird situation. And when I got notified of that I was in the squad, but the other boys were out, and it was sort of sat a bit funny with me anyway. And I think then in June or July, we had the Queensland Open, and Kelvin had retired, and it was all new. It was just a totally new vibe, and I decided to take a bit of a spell and get married, try and start a family, bought a house. We'd only just bought our first home.
Yeah, nice.
And start a job. So so that was some interesting emails exchanged in that one, and I actually do keep one of the emails where the national coach at the time told me it would be the biggest regret of my life would be leaving the national team at that stage. So, thanks for the motivation.
Good on you, mate. So what? You're 20, 21, 22.
Yeah.
You're on top of the world at your feet as well, like, and you decided to take 12 months away to prioritize stuff outside of bowls. That doesn't happen nowadays, man. It doesn't.
No, it doesn't. But I was raised in a great family, and family's everything to me. And, even now, I always talk about the reason I do what I do and the reason I want to be successful right now is because it's to pay back the sacrifices that my family have made for me. So, family's huge to me, and being able to having the opportunity to buy a house and get married and start my own family was more exciting to me than playing for Australia at that period of time. So, that was what I wanted to do at the time, and I just went and did it.
Yeah, absolutely. And you've regretted it ever since, mate. So you came back less than 12 months later and you made the Delhi Commonwealth Games team, didn't you, in the pairs with Mark?
Yeah.
So
I couldn't believe it.
Yeah. So when did the focus turn to that? All of a sudden you think, no, this is actually on the radar here.
Well, I guess the coaches at the time, they were moved on for whatever reason, and then
maybe a certain
and then Rex Johnson, he took over as the national coach, and obviously Rex and I knew each other extremely well through the New South Wales program, and I discussed, coming back with him. So I think it was about October, November 2009. I spoke to him. He said, "Yeah, look, we've got a training camp in December. Come and have a go, see where you fit in." They announced the team to play against England, which I wasn't a part of, but that was fine. And then once that was done, that wasn't an overly successful campaign for Australia. And then we had a couple of training camps in Cairns on more of a slower carpet type setup. And then I was notified that I was, in the team to go to the multi-nations. I think it was an 8-person team that went to that. And then fast forward a couple of months, got selected to play pairs with Casper at Delhi. Yeah, so it was pretty exciting.
That's it, mate. So Mark Berghofer, for those that aren't familiar with Casper. So before we get on to the on-the-green experience, mate, all you elites that have played at Commonwealth Games, I'd just like to ask is, what's that like being at a multi-sport event, and what's the culture like in India?
I would say that the first time we went to India, we had a lot more freedom, and it was unbelievable. Like,
Yeah, right.
we got to experience a few things, and there wasn't that real security blow-up stuff, like it was really, really good. And I love Indian food. I love the culture. I love cricket. So it was sort of like my dream sort of destination, to be honest. And yeah, it was incredible. We had a great time. And then fast forward to the Com Games. Actually, we got off the plane and we were taken down this other alleyway, away from all the general public. And Mark Casey was the first guy on the bus. So I'm behind Mark. He walks up, looks, and then jumps, flies off the bus. I was like, "Hey, what's going on, mate?" He goes, "There's blokes with machine guns in there." And I'm like, "What?" So I pop my head around, and there's these guys in their plain clothes, and they got machine guns in there, but they were like plain clothes security guards.
Oh, wow.
So we were driving around in buses with machine gun clad bloody security and all that sort of stuff, and security was out of control. But like just the food hall and looking around and recognizing athletes you've seen on TV and the swimmers and all that was it's always an eye opener. I mean, you probably never get used to that sort of stuff. I guess Gold Coast was a little bit easier because we had family around, so any spare time we had, we kind of tried to see family and that sort of thing, and security was a little bit more restraint, so it was pretty good. But like multi events like that, they're a real eye opener. We got to, because the bowls venue was right near the athletics track, so when we had downtime and that, we got to go over and have a look at that, and saw some of the 100-meter races and how fast those guys are, and javelins and high jumps and long jumps and all that, and just got involved in it, and it was amazing.
Yeah, any sports out there you wouldn't have thought you liked looking at, but you wouldn't have had a look at, mate?
No, not really.
No.
I didn't. No, like I said, Delhi and that was really strict. Went to the swimming one night in Glasgow. That was amazing. Had a chance to go to the netball final in Glasgow, but partied too hard the night before, so didn't really couldn't be bothered going to an arena with screaming women watching netball. But look, I've loved every experience of the Commonwealth Games. It's probably obviously the one thing that maybe I could have chased was the gold medal there, but I'm pretty proud of my efforts at the Com Games, and I've loved every second of it.
Yeah, well, that's what going to lead on to my next question. There was so it was on the green experience now in Delhi. So there was no medal for you, obviously. You and Casper went out quarter-final, semi-final.
Yeah, so just quickly, interesting story. So Casper and I get ready. We go jump in the lift on our way down to get to the buses, and the lift stops.
Oh man!
So we're stuck in the lift. We're ringing the bell, trying to speak to somebody that knew English. Like, it was very difficult. I'm like, we're stuck. So anyway, 15, 20 minutes, we're stuck in this lift, and we're going to play the quarterfinal of the Commonwealth Games pairs. Anyway, where we stopped was halfway, like the lift was sort of halfway down to where, like, you could see half of us type thing. So next minute, this door gets pried open, and they're like, "Oh, jump," and we're like, "What?" We're like, "Well, jump out." Well, what if when we're jumping it drops and, like, we're brown bread, like, we're gone? Oh, well, just jump.
Oh dear.
We've thrown our bowls bags out, and I said, "Casper, you going first or am I going first?" And he went, "Well, I'll go first." So Casper went, and he got through all right. So then I jumped out, and thankfully the lift stayed where it was, and we didn't get squashed, obviously. But yeah, that was pretty entertaining in the lead up to a quarterfinal of it at a Commonwealth Games, wasn't it?
Dear me, there you go. So, like I said, mate, no medals. But
Nah,
you took, obviously, but you sort of alluded to there. I mean, you took some positives away from it. You've enjoyed every time you've gone to the Commonwealth Games. So, what was it about Delhi that you took away and thought, right, anything in there that that really spurred you on? Because in that same year, world champion singles, which I'm going to go on to as well in Norfolk Island. So what was it about Delhi that really spurred you on?
Yeah, I mean, I guess you can take failure or what you consider to be failure anyway. So for us, we thought we were a legitimate medal chance, and didn't medal there. So it was exciting. It was my first Commonwealth Games. All that was great. And when I got home, I was really happy to see family, and they were all proud of me and getting the quarterfinal, get three section, all that sort of stuff. But deep down inside, it was probably just a bit of a disappointing moment for
Mm-hmm.
me. Because Casper and I had won the multi-nations event in the lead up. So that sort of gave us a little bit of confidence going into it. So yeah, I guess from that point it was trying to, you're not going to win gold medals at every event, but it was my goal there was just to make sure I medaled at every event that I played in after that. I didn't really I always wanted to come home with something.
Yeah.
You can't, bowls is one of those sports where you just can't win every event you play in. But as long as you're competitive in those events and you get something out of it, that's always been my goal. So yeah, moving forward from India was sort of just a bit of I suppose, a shot to the arm for me just to go, well, we're not losing in quarterfinals anymore. We're winning medals. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah, right out. And then the World Championships was after Delhi, was it? Yeah.
Yeah. So that was about 2 weeks after Zoe was born, my first daughter.
Oh,
So
there you go.
yeah, and then go over to Norfolk Island where there's no street lights. There's very little phone reception. It's just like this tiny little island, and it was probably like my perfect place. There's you can just you get immersed in the place, and you don't. It's laid back, it's chilled, it's relaxed. You can have fun, you can enjoy yourself, and there's not going to be any media there to bloody throw you under the bus or something like that. You can
Yeah.
just have fun and be yourself and play Andrew Todd in the final. It was down game, hit a single bowl target. Jack bounced off the backboard and killed, and I got shot on the respot to get us into the tiebreak, and sort of pounced on him first end with that disappointment of holding game, and ended up in the tiebreak, got us 3, and then dropped 2-1s and won 3-2 in the tiebreak to win my first world singles title. So yeah, that was pretty
Nice.
cool.
Nice. Now, yeah, as you said, first taste of sort of a world individual championship there. So
Yeah.
Then obviously after that, then what's the focus? The focus goes to Adelaide 2012, trying to get into the Jackaroos team again for that. How early from that do you realise you're in the Jackaroos team and things like that there?
Yeah, well, we had Asia Pacifics in 2011, and that's probably the first time that I started to feel like just really comfortable, that I was just not in an arrogant way, but I just kind of knew I was going to be in the team and be selected. So that took a lot of heat and a lot of pressure off, because the hardest thing about a World Championships and a Commonwealth Games in Australia is actually getting picked for Australia.
Yeah.
And it's usually, your preparation starts a couple of years beforehand. Numerous training camps, meetings, tournaments you have to play in, selection trials, all that stuff. And instead of getting picked 6 months beforehand so you can actually prepare, the teams generally announce 3 months or 2 months before the major event. And that's sort of, you're like, oh, you beauty,
I've
picked.
made it. Yeah.
I've made it. And then you actually get to the event and go, oh, wait a minute, I've actually got to compete here. It's not all over.
Yeah.
And, sort of outside looking in, a lot of the UK teams are picked 6 months in advance, even 9 months sometimes. You get the announcement that their teams are picked, and then that team can just work and gel and all that sort of thing. So I suppose 2012 was similar to that. We had Asia Pacifics, and the team changed a bit. That's when Rudy came in for the World Championships. We hadn't really spent a lot of time with Rudy. He burnt playing for South Australia against us in trials and things like that, and then got himself in. And we were lucky. We had I think it was Edelon Fours we played it. So that when that World Bowls team was announced, it was myself, Case, and then it was Wiz was lead and Rudy was playing 2. So we played World Fours the other way. So it was Rudy led, Wiz played 2, Case and myself. And we got about halfway through that event, and we'd lost to Singapore in a shocker. And we could just see things weren't going good, and I don't know, it was sort of like it was just a weird vibe. So we got some steaks, we got a carton of beer, we went back to the room, we cooked a feed, got a couple of beers, bit of courage in us, and we sat down and went, all right, boys, what's going on here? Like, let's sort this shit out, because we're we're playing for a world title here, and it's
Yeah.
turning bad real fast. Like, what's
Yeah.
going on? So for about 2 hours, a 6-pack each later, we just had it out as raw and as honest as it possibly was. But then we came out the next day and absolutely blitzed them and never lost another game and won the world championship. So,
How good's that?
yeah. And it was just such a honest, raw conversation. And even to this day, when the four of us get together, we just, what about that chat? Like, how good was that? Like, it was just literally a steak and a 6-pack each and just let's have it.
Let's have it,
And,
yeah.
that's probably still one of the best trips I've been a part of. Every player in that team, all 10 of us were world champions. Both the men's and women's teams finished number one in the world. Yeah, that was just a trip to dream about. Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah, nice. Just a quick one to dive back into the camps, mate. So when you're in the camp, right, have you got it in your head, I want the singles, or I want to skip the fours, or whatever it is you want to do? Or is it just, I just want to make the side and play wherever? Like, what's in Aron Sherriff's head when he's in the camp?
Yeah, I mean, I suppose I've always been a little bit of a versatility player. So, I've had a couple of singles opportunities. I've had skipping opportunities. Last year I played second in the triples and skipped the fours. Yep. So I've basically had to just be versatile. So for me, it was just about getting into five, and then I'll just work out what I got to do. So
yeah,
I suppose the only time that I was a little bit frustrated was probably the Commonwealth Games in 2018.
Yeah.
Thought I'd done enough to play the singles, but then obviously, Disco with 4 bowls was pretty dynamic, and me with 2 bowls was pretty dynamic. So I understand where the situation was there, but that a team was announced as a 5, not actually as like in your individual position. So that's probably the only time I've been not disappointed, but I guess a little bit. Oh, I would have liked the singles, But obviously the rest is history. Disco killed it, and we got a couple of silvers, and it is what it is.
He's done all right. Back to that World Fours then, mate. So what's it like? Home World Championship, standing on top of a podium, mate. How was that?
Unbelievable. Incredible. Yeah. And fortunately, it was just, like I said, Rudy was new to us, and he was a different cat, and he was unique and funny in his own way. And we love him now. Like, we love him. Like, he's just someone different and makes us laugh for different reasons and all that sort of thing. So, as I say, with playing singles and things, it's a pretty lonely place, and you only got yourself to celebrate with sometimes, where winning like a World Fours with those boys, you've always got 3 other people that you can celebrate it with, and the memories are with, and that sort of thing. The only thing we need to do is actually get together and have a bit of and relive it with our families or something like that, organise a family holiday and get together and just go through it all, because it was it's probably the realest chat I've ever had with a team since I've played bowls, and it was awesome.
Yeah, nice. That's great to hear. That's a brilliant story. Might get more of that off air at some point, mate. Right. So that's that first World Championship gold medal spurred you on a bit. So now we're moving on to Glasgow 2014. Like you said, you got the singles again, mate, and you came away with a bronze medal. So how was that in comparison to Delhi, and just the feeling of getting a Commonwealth Games medal?
Yeah, mixed feelings with that one. I suppose the pairs in the lead up, the first week of pairs, Wes and I absolutely lighten the place up. And then we get to the quarterfinal, play against Namibia again, who we'd just beaten in the previous game. All 3 quarterfinals were on, well, the other 3 quarterfinals were on the show green. And we got ditched up to rink 15 on the worst rink and the worst green in the whole joint. So you got 3 quarterfinals with Scotland and all that going down on the show green, and we're out the back playing in the opposite direction on rink 15, which is the worst rink in the whole venue. So just felt a little bit sabotaged there, I suppose. Namibia come out and played absolutely brilliant. We were 15-0 down after about 6 or 7 ends, and
holy
that was it.
There you go.
Yeah, so that was the end of that. And then come out and played the singles. Got off to a horrific start against Malaysia in the quarterfinal, and fought back and won that one about 21-19 as well. I think I was about 15-3 or 4 down or something, and fought my way back to get out of that one. And then, took a lot of confidence in the game against Darren Burnett. I think the first 2 ends I held 4s, and he sort of scummed his way out to get second shots. I was only 2-0 up and could have been 8-0 up. then he found his rhythm and absolutely burnt the place down. And I was lucky enough to get to 14 or 15 and make it respectable. But after the first couple of ends, I was never really in the game. And probably just trying to get over the disappointment of that, and then get into it the next day. Probably the only thing that made it a little bit easier to play was it was against my great mate Shannon McElroy. We've been mates since I think it's Australian junior trans Tasman's. He was 15, I was 16. We played against each other in New Zealand, and we just had a bit of fun with it and a good time, and it was pretty relaxed considering you're playing for a bronze medal. And it was probably the best performance of the week for me. I just found the range and played unreal. So I guess it was a mixed feelings with the whole trip. Sort of, Northern Hemisphere is always pretty tough, but the vibe leaving Glasgow wasn't that great, to be honest. There was a few meetings had afterwards that were pretty ordinary, but whether they were fair or not, we'll never know. But it's probably not the best trip I've been on. I wouldn't say that one. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That's pretty frank and honest there, mate. I appreciate that.
That's who I am.
Nah, good on you, mate. Well, sticking with the Commonwealth Games, 4 years later, then a bit of a different story on the Gold Coast, Home Commonwealth Games. How was that one?
Oh, look, it was amazing. We got 2 silvers, we lost 2 close finals. They could have gone either way. The nemesis Scotland again, but just the vibe around that, having the family here. Yeah, I mean the whole atmosphere of the Gold Coast that period of time was really good. We got huge crowds. A lot of people didn't even know what they were watching. But that was cool because there's random things getting yelled out, and it just took your mind off the pressure of actually competing in the Com Games. And looking back, I mean, 2 silvers, obviously one gold or 1 and 1 or 2 gold or whatever was always available. But played 2 ripping finals, captivating finals, and just happened to be on the wrong side of both of them. We can be thankful that we left it all out on the rink and be proud of those silver medals because, as I said, both games were absolutely incredible to be involved in. And it was just one shot here or there. That was the only difference, and they were able to execute a little bit better than us in the big moments.
I'd say you didn't lose the final. It was just you were just beaten by a better
That's
team.
right.
That's all you can ask
That's
for,
right.
isn't it?
Yeah.
All you can ask for. Okay, mate, back into the World Championships. So we're going to go to 2023 a bit because it was a home one, but we're not going to skip 2016. Another 2 medals there. So a silver in the triples and a bronze in the singles in 2016, mate. So, but then on to 2023. Home greens at Broad Beach, double gold. Does it get any better?
No. And I suppose, we sort of touched on the retirement thing at the start, and I suppose in hindsight, that probably could have been the right place to announce the retirement, but I just got caught up in the emotion of it all, and the 5-man team that we had there, we just got along, we clicked. Obviously, there was a little bit of outside noise about the way the team was selected, and we didn't really let it get into our system too much, and we knew what our roles were, and I suppose to let people in on why those decisions were made after the fact is that in the triples, obviously Corey's a lead, and I've skipped a lot of stuff, but I suppose having played a lot of major events, when you've got to skip for 2 weeks straight under that sort of pressure, it does get taxing, and it mentally fries you. And in a 2-bowl triples game, your front guys need to be your best draw players. And Carl was one of the best hitters in Australia.
Yeah.
So, you saw the perfect game when we played Scotland in the final of the triples. Corey played solid, rolled the jack like an absolute weapon. I've never seen jack rolling like that.
Yeah.
I absolutely nailed that range. When we got really close, I threw a bowl back to the respot. If Alex ever got the shot or they got the shot off us, Carl just drove it off. We had the respot covered.
Yeah.
It was just the game plan. It was perfect. It was so easy. It was so simple, and we executed it perfectly. So that was the whole reason behind it, was that Corey and I were the best 2 draw shot players in the team, and Carl's the best hitter in the team. So if Corey and I nail the jack like we should, and then Matt back, T to T is my go. So for me to go from playing a short jack to drawing to the tee, I love T to T. So that's just right in my wheelhouse. So it was perfect. So, you hear the noise on the outside. Oh, why is he skipping? Why isn't he doing
Yeah,
it? But we just never let it get in, and we knew what our game plan was, and we executed it probably as close to perfect as you possibly could. So
Well, that's another fantastic insight, mate, because the guys going out to play pennants every weekend, they don't think about things like that, do they?
no, of
Just the
course not.
game plan of it, the mental taxing side of it from you skipping all the time. Because, yeah, absolutely, that's where the noise all came from. Everybody heard it. Why is Aron Sherriff not skipping? Like, because you skipped everything.
Yeah,
And no disrespect to Carl, but
no.
it's Aron Sherriff. So, yeah, mate, to hear that, another great insight for people to listen to, man. That's awesome.
Mm.
All right, so Worlds, Commonwealth, we've done all that, mate. Moving a bit closer to home, plenty of state and national titles that we talked about. I mean, the Aussie Open, like, what is it about that event for you that just seems to bring it out? You mean, you've got 3 singles on the bounce. You've won 4 in the last 5 years. You've won 6 in total, a pairs and a fours. Like, what is it about that event?
I suppose it's the longevity of it. You have to be tough. You have to be mentally tough. You have to be a fruitcake. You have to trust yourself. You have to grind like no other event. So,
Yeah.
and you just really got to trust yourself, So singles has always been a bit of a love-hate relationship with me, but I guess probably as the older I've got and probably the grumpier I've got, I probably like my own company a little bit more than anyone else's company these days. So for me to go out in the Australian Open and just be me, play the way I want to play, grind it out, and it's on my greens now. Like I'm on the Gold Coast, and I know how they play. I know that if I can get through the first couple of days of qualifying, well then more likely I'm going to be at Helensvale where I played, or I'm going to be at Broadbeach where I play.
Yeah.
So for me, the hardest part is getting through the first probably 5 or 6 games, and if I can get myself through there, I know I'm going to play the next 5 or 6 at either Helensvale or Broadbeach.
Yeah.
So don't get me wrong, I've had some major scares and some serious challenges, and probably this year, this year's event, the start of it was probably the worst form I've been in a long, long time. And
I remember you saying that in the interview after the game.
yeah, and just thought, oh God, how on earth am I going to get through this? But it's just scratch and claw and just backing yourself. And I suppose, I don't know. I just love the event.
Yeah.
I love it's the biggest carnival in Australia. I mean, I don't believe the Australian Open is the be all and end all of bowls events. I think it is designed just to be a carnival event. But the fact that you start the event with 1,200 other men and you've got to be the best after that is very appealing to me. So
Nice feather in the cap.
Yeah, and I just love it. And I suppose it's my thing. Like I suppose everyone, Glass had 9 indoors, and some of the top players have got their thing. They win so many of this. Jeremy won 5 World Cups and whatever, and Alex and Paul have won 5 World Indoors, and I just win Australian Opens.
You just win Australian Opens, just to be up there. I like that, man. I like that motivation and that mindset for it all. That's brilliant.
Yeah.
We'll go to the 2023 one, mate. You made all finals in that. Like, that was incredible. And if it wasn't for Aaron Wilson magic in the pairs, you've walked away with all 3 titles there. So can you talk me through that event? Were you just feeling good literally the whole time, or what were the emotions like coming out through the whole thing?
Yeah, look, I was just in an absolute tear there. I was just so confident. Obviously, had great teams. Don't get me wrong. Like TZ was playing brilliant, and I was just confident I could consolidate. My singles game was at its peak, and then you've got Snelly, Corey, and TZ in the 4s as well. So yeah, as you said, the last end, Disco played 3 monsters to get us three titles. Would have been obviously never done and potentially never repeated, but I suppose that gives me some motivation moving forward to get that done, eh?
Yeah, well, that's good to hear, man. Especially in retirement, you still got that motivation.
Yeah.
Right, mate. Let's go to the last one then. Right, 3 singles in a row. Like that's another thing that's going to be hard. That's going to be hard to match or beat anyway. Something spectacular. Did you feel that coming? Like, I know you said in the interview afterwards, you just mentioned there, you weren't feeling good at the start of it. And mate, how does that final bowl compare to others that you played? It has to be up there as one of the best.
Yeah, under the circumstances, yeah, definitely. But I've had a lot of people ask me about it since that bowl was played, and I suppose for me, it's just another bowl. Like,
Yeah.
And I know it sounds simple, but it is. Like, it's just really that. And I've been playing for 28 years, nearly 29 years now, and put the hours in. You know, when I was a kid, I was doing 30 hours a week of training, playing games, trying to, even before flapjacks and targets and things like that come out, I'd get sets of bowls out of the shed and set up heads and try and play them, and wouldn't finish practice until I completed them 4 times in a row. Just different stuff like that,
Yeah.
So, I suppose I was really driven and hungry from a young age, and yeah, I visualised that sort of stuff when I was a kid. Like
It's like
not
an
be straight
NRL player
open.
kicking it from the sideline, isn't it? You
Well,
go
it
out there, you
is.
practice that. You practice for that moment.
That's right. So, you set up a head or, a shot. Okay, well, you visualise that this is for your first Australian title, your first state junior singles, your first whatever, and it's muscle memory. It's just a target sport.
Yeah.
And really, it's a simple sport that we make look very difficult because we're idiots, So
Yeah, very good.
it really is. It's line and length. That's it. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So if you can just really simplify it down to that, and I suppose that was the beauty of having George Dawes as a coach of mine. I know we're regressing. Sorry, but I'm all over the shop.
No, go for me.
But I think the beauty of having a coach like George Dawes was the fact that he knew that he didn't have everything as a coach. So he asked other coaches to come and speak to me. And that was the first time I get to meet the great Bob Fishlock. And I'd heard again about Bobby, a Newcastle legend and one of the most beautiful men I've ever met in the sport. And Bobby taught me a nice, simple lesson. It was the KISS method, keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah.
And that was his motto. And he's trained some of the best or coached some of the best bowlers that we've ever had in New South Wales, especially, and all that. And I took that on board, and, I got to meet him when I was 11 or 12 or something like that. And I remember that, that simple method, keep it simple, stupid. And that was it. It was really just get on the mat, set yourself up, pre-shot routine. Just got to draw the shot, just draw the shot. So, yeah.
But mate, like the way the ball finished, like we're talking Tiger Woods at Augusta with a Nike logo stopping on the edge of the hole and then dropping in. You have ruled that absolute perfect. So the logo is north-south. The manufacturer, the product, mate, it is. How did you do that? Come on.
It was just a happy accident. But I'll tell you what, if that's not on the Aero ad at the BPL, I'm going to be very disappointed, Walter, okay?
Oh, man, that was phenomenal. Like I said, like you look at Tiger Woods' chip on the 16, that's up there. Oh, unbelievable. All right, man. So, right, we're going to go back 1 year because 2022 was massive, right? So, first of all, September 21, the announcement comes out. You've decided for your reasons you're going to take a year away. Now, that's in the lead into Birmingham, so a mad decision. Like, that's got to be a hard decision to make. But then you go out in 2022, you win the Triple Crown, you win the Aussie Open, like you seem to do every year. You win the Aussie Indoor and you win the Golden Nugget, mate. So just talk me through 2022.
Well, I suppose we probably should touch on 21 first because that actually was not my decision. It was just the way that the way we released it in the media. So, yeah.
Aaron, I'm going to cut you off there, mate, because Simon gets Simon gets very, very funny with timing, mate. So I think on that bombshell, folks, we're going to stop there. And Aaron will be back again with us for another. This will be a two-parter. So we'll bring Aaron back at another time, and we have to dive into this 2022 and see or 2021 and see what comes out of that. So tune in next time, folks. Aron Sherriff, thanks for this, mate, and we will continue this at another time.
Well, let's talk soon then.
Well, there you go, mate. I haven't even divulged too much of that to you. That's part one. What's your thoughts?
Part one, DJ. We've got more coming up from the great man, Aron Sherriff.
Yeah, mate. It was it was a good one. Finished on a bit of a bombshell there, but I know what you're like with your editing, mate. You like to keep this to an hour, and I was very wary of time. So, yeah, cut him off. Not too many people I could cut off like that, but yeah, cut off Aron Sherriff. Add that to the list of resume. I'm not going to win a world title, but Aron Sherriff mid-flow, cut him off. But yeah, mate, looking forward to sitting down with him again. Obviously, you can see from that bit of the interview there, he's been pretty candid. So we'll sit down again. We're going to talk about what retirement's going to look like for him, what family life's going to look for him after this, and just get into what it was like being a Jackaroo, maybe get some more insight into what the camps were like, what the players actually have to go through. And yeah, I suppose there's a little bit of, he's been unshackled a little bit with that retirement, so we might get a bit more out of him than what, some others have been interested in divulging. I don't think we're going to get anyone in trouble, but interesting to see for Joe Public what these guys and girls at the elite level have to go through.
Yeah, behind the scenes of what goes on at that level, DJ, and what the players have to go through, different stages and selection, and even the most experienced guys at that level and what they go through. And yeah, it'd be interesting to hear, DJ, some more insights at that level from such a fantastic player, and obviously definitely a GOAT DJ there, greatest of all time.
Especially
definitely.
After we were all led to believe that he made the decision to step away just before Commonwealth Games. I wanted to find out why he did that, and now I'm about to find out why he did that, because he didn't choose to do that.
Part 2 coming up soon, DJ.
Part 2 in a couple of weeks, folks. Tune into that one. Hope you all enjoyed that. And yeah, we'll be back with Aron in a couple of weeks' time for part 2 of his career interview.
Look forward to that, DJ.
Well, not to drop another bombshell on everyone, Simon, 2 in the 1 episode, but we're done. That's enough for this week. We'll come back next week for episode 30. Who have we got next week, or are we still planning that out?
I think we've got a pretty good one, DJ. I know it's hard to beat Aron Sherriff as a guest interview, but we do have a good one up our sleeve, DJ, that we spoke to recently there. And looking forward to that one too coming up. So definitely somebody on the world stage that we had a chat to. So some good insights into what's happening with lawn bowls on the world stage.
Jeez, we're getting some connections out of this podcast, aren't we, mate?
Looking forward to it.
Oh, man, I'm looking forward to the royalty checks. But on that, folks, thanks again for tuning in. Really hope you're enjoying it. We'll hear from you all in the comments. Don't forget, every Thursday, 8 a.m., Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and the Waterloo Bulls podcast. Get in touch with Simon at thebullsacademy.com for coaching tips, for any feedback that you want to give us. And just remember, keep that little disc on the inside.
And good luck on the green, folks. We'll catch you next week.